So then, of course, everyone was stirred up by the videos from Syria, which seem to our contemporaries to be record-breakingly bloody and horrifying, but there is nothing particularly extraordinary in these videos. All these shootings, all these corpses are ordinary, inevitable consequences, essentially, of any dictatorship regimes, like Putin's regime, Assad's regime. They inevitably radicalize a certain part of the population, and this part of the population is sometimes so deeply radicalized that even when the regime collapses, they cannot accept reality. Dictators either die or flee, but the people fixated by their propaganda remain and take the brunt from those who eagerly, as always happens, seek to blame someone for the disgrace, the collapse, the nightmare of the country. These reprisals can be equally fermented, like on religious yeast as well as on ideological ones, let's say. And this does not affect the degree of ferocity in any way. Well, in much the same way, by the way, speaking of which, those who need to prepare should do so. It is likely to happen in Russia as well, where the public will also very bloodily take it out on Putin's fans, who at some point will become defenseless. And changing one's stance, is not a simple art. Not everyone is skilled in it. And decades of aggressive propaganda have already produced those inadequates who, in principle, will not be able to quickly change their stance or reprogram themselves. They will stubbornly push forward for the ideals instilled in them, while those who have already changed their stance will blame them for everything and settle score. And in general, these endings of all dictatorships, more like epilogues, look the same everywhere and everywhere. Because this horror in Syria, it leaves such a strong, shocking impression, exclusively because all sorts of videos have become a widespread phenomenon only in the last decade. But this is exactly how, and no other way, the reality of any post-dictatorial country looks. And I will tell you that the Syrian sadists have very poor imagination. They eliminate Assad's supporters without any creativity, because in exactly the same way, just as corpse-like and boundless Romania looked after the execution of Antonescu, and then years later, after the execution of Ceausescu. Russia, in 1918, when the dictatorship of Nicholas II collapsed, also washed itself in blood for a long time, and with great pleasure. All the dynasties of imperial China, which succeeded one another since the times of the Three Kingdoms, or even before, the Three Kingdoms presented similar scenes, not to mention Gaddafi. And if the sans-culottes of the French Revolution had the opportunity to make videos of their exploits and upload them to the internet, then the current bloodshed in Syria would not have been noticed by anyone. Even the enlightened French, when the waves changed, as you know, both the mood and, let's say, the layers of the French Revolution. Even the enlightened French opponents of the convention were taken out. For example, to the plain of Brotteaux, a famous case, opponents of the convention were taken out and shot with grape shot from cannons. On December 4th, the aristocrats were taken out to the plain, Brota, tied up, in groups of 10, 6 sets, and from a distance of 300 meters, they were shot with grape shot. The wounded were finished off by cavalrymen, who were then allowed to take the shoes off the corpses. The next day, in the same way, another 208 people were finished off with grape shot. And this is France. That is a standard post-dictatorial landscape, because we know that part of the layers of this French Revolution were also a bloody dictatorship. These are still the corpses of accomplices, ordinary supporters of the regime, as well as those who simply got caught in the crossfire due to the whims of avengers and the enforcers of the new order.